Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've had a week off, but we're back with Tuesday Vampire again. Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition and our Chronicle of London Ascendant. We are hopping back on that after taking a few weeks playing Fall of London, but now we're back with the Down Street coterie. Excited. Good times. So before we crack on with anything else, as always, let's introduce our stream manager, Steve, who's bobbing around behind the scenes, doing vitally important things, and occasionally popping up to tell us the world's exploding. How are you doing tonight, Steve?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, just trying to remember how to click all the buttons after a week away.
The buttons are important. The most important thing. So yeah, that's Steve. We've got a bunch of links down below should you care to click on them. We've got links to our Twitch and to our YouTube. You're watching on one of those two. Why not check out the other? We've got links to our Discord if you want to come talk to us about anything telling tales, anything roleplay. We've got links to our Patreon if you feel like supporting us and want some of the lovely treats we have over there, like character creation videos. And we've got links to our social media. We also run another 2 weekly series here on Twitch. We run on Monday nights, which is Call of Cthulhu, with Johnny as the keeper. Tuesday is obviously this. And Wednesday is Simbroom, which I run. So yeah, come join us in that. All 3 start at 8 o'clock GMT or BST, depending on what time of year it is. We also have monthly one-offs. One-shot stories. We've already done Merkborg, Troika, Alien. Those are in VOD form over on our YouTube. And this next month coming, we're looking to do Fiasco, which is a wonderful classic GM-less role-playing system that will be on Saturday, May the 1st. Whew, what an intro. What an intro. Flawless, some might say. So we're going to start bringing on our players now. And I realized as I reviewed the order of recaps that I'd written out that these recaps are in precise escalating order of wild and potentially dangerous events. So we'll start with, ironically, given that he has the least of those, our most wild and dangerous player, Justin, who plays Mandrill, our resident Nosferatu architect. Justin, what happened at the beginning of the last session of London Ascendant?
Don't know what you're talking about. It was very straightforward. I just went to go visit an old family friend who hadn't seen me in perhaps, gosh, how many decades? Very, very many. Coming up to better half of a century. And yet they still recognized me almost immediately as my pre-embraced self. So that's going to be fine. That's good. I definitely can't kill them because they're a touchstone. So, we'll just have to live with that. Cat's out of the bag, so to speak.
I mean, technically you can kill them. There are even rules for what happens if you do.
Yeah. I'll go with no on that one.
Yeah, probably. Okay, yeah, you met up with Mr. Robson. Everything went fine. It's one of those normal, exciting carpentry-based vampire scenes.
If we can't have carpentry-based vampire scenes, I'm out.
Well, quite. So next, let's bring on Pierre. Pierre plays Oscar Kane, antiquarian and trouble magnet, and also Clan Tremere.
Trouble magnet.
Trouble magnet. What happened with Pierre? Not Pierre. What happened with Oscar last time, Pierre? Almost a flawless intro.
Yeah. I really liked both of the candidates for the job that I had put out, strange as they were, and so I offered both of them part-time jobs, and both of them knew far too much and are definitely going to be my downfall. That's broadly the thing.
Pretty much.
Roni and Junius.
My main note in that is like both candidates. Poor Richard. Poor Richard. And now, as I'm saying, I'm not sure if his name was Richard.
Yeah, well,
so even worse.
He was a grey, boring individual. Probably wouldn't have got me in any trouble at all. So,
well, there we go. So now, as assistants in your shop, you've brought on what appears to perhaps be your sire's ghoul, your sire's illicit ghoul.
Yeah, seems really like it.
And someone, another individual who seems to consider you one of the secret masters of the world.
I don't know which is worse. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. That's great. So let's bring on our third player. John plays Arthur Norris. I always do illusions. Our Ventru drug dealer. Our Ventru high-class drug dealer.
I just want to say before I get going that I'm pretty sure that guy's name is Dave.
Oh, the other candidate. Dave, Richard, whatever.
It was Paul, wasn't not
Look,
Paul?
I'm not saying he's not coming back, but I am saying I didn't bother entering him on the character database. So, but what did Arthur get up to as the situation in the last session started to ramp up towards dramatic events?
Arthur went to go and have a very professional talk with a rival drug dealer who had been roughing up Arthur's supplier as he was his previous supplier, and they discussed things like adults right up until the other drug dealer threw a punch at Arthur, and Arthur very firmly told him to not do that with a slight amount of dominate, and to just leave Harry alone. And that was fine. It was a gentleman's agreement, and we'll never see him again.
A line is drawn under it, and obviously he's off the character database as well. No need to ever be concerned about that again. Just your average, everyday use of vampiric discipline on a mortal.
He was high.
He was quite high. So let's bring on Neill, who plays Alex Taylor Brown, our Malkavian Prophet of Doom. And Neill's going to fill us in on what happened at the end of the last session of London Ascendant, which was perfectly normal and no cause for alarm whatsoever.
It was perfectly normal. We had a lovely meeting with Rose of Bowie, one of the last remaining officers of the previous Camarilla control over London. She handed me a book of her late sire's scribblings and notes, organized, I'm sure. Unfortunately, she appears to have miraculously survived this long, given that she said the word ghoul on an open telephone line, which caused a Second Inquisition squad to start gunning her down and then gun us down in the process. They then shouted over a loudspeaker that we could go, or words to that effect. The details weren't important. We survived. We have a book, and sadly, Rose is now in their clutches.
Absolutely, and it was, I suppose, a brief confrontation is too harsh a term, but certainly it was your second sighting of the somewhat mysterious Second Inquisition individual known as Isidore Gassang, who seemed perfectly happy, as you say, to have you leave. So, where will we pick up? I know where we'll pick up. We will pick up with Alex Taylor Brown. Alex, you are in a familiar, almost pitch black, dark landscape with the sun setting to the west. It's odd because you can't really remember all that clearly the last time you saw the sun setting and didn't experience some kind of deep existential fear based on the danger of the sun in the sky. But nothing. No fear here. And then to the north, rising again, the blood-red sun you had seen before. Stars glitter like blades in the encroaching crimson darkness. A comforting warmth descends on you, and you realize that what seemed like a roiling mass of sanguine fire is not a sun at all. It is a face. The face of a god. And then you wake.
Is the book still clutched to my chest?
Very tightly. It is a week later. You're all in Down Street. You've all roused for the evening. Yes. Which means rouse checks, I suppose.
Oh, God.
So that could be fun for Oscar Kane. That could be a dash to the refrigerator.
Yeah, I'm on hunger 4.
How much blood do we have left, out of interest?
Let me check my notes.
I succeeded.
Consult the blood scribe.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, we took care of a little business off screen, like in that interim week. Some XP got spent, some stuff got healed, some hunger got either shuffled down or shuffled up, depending on actions. So yeah, we're in a moderately similar state to what we were in. Let's go around the group and talk about what upcoming plans the coterie has and kind of what goals you have individually. And while we do that, we can do our willpower rolls as well, right? Because we're owed those willpower rolls.
Are they rolls? I thought you just recover the...
No, not rolls. Every bloody time. Yes, we can talk about raising your willpower and see kind of a status update, see where we are. And I see no reason not to go around in a clockwise order. So let's start with Justin. Justin, what's Mandrill been up to, and how is she doing?
I describe Mandrill as pottering. Been mostly successful in terms of Mandrill's plans. The postern was put in towards the end of the last a few sessions. I've made contact with Robson, who's going to be a human front for my business operations, and so and the Haven alterations are coming along as planned, increasing the security and increasing at least my comfort, and perhaps also the comfort of my coterie that I like, or who maybe will do things for me later on. If they want things installed, rooms wide. I know Alex was upset that they only had one office and wanted a knock through, which all of these things can be arranged within the Haven under the assumption that things will find their way back to me in the end.
Absolutely. It's also worth noting out while we're talking about the Haven that the coterie has purchased a point of location under their domain. Is it called a background or an advantage in this? Coterie background? Coterie advantage?
It's a background. Technically, it's a merit of a background, which is not at all confusing.
Yeah. So yeah, which drives down their difficulty to feed in Mayfair considerably. Now at 4, which is a hell of a lot better than it was, but I think last time we looked it was 6 maybe. So much better. Okay, and how's Mandrill doing spiritually and physically? What are your willpower and health like? What's kind of state are you in?
Well, this is willpower recovery week, so I'm back to my willpower is absolutely fine, and my hunger has just increased to 3 today. I've been doing rather well feeding off the fat of my herd, but
slumbering herd in the sleep deprivation therapy center.
Yeah, but this week there's a bit of a thirst at the start of this week. I'm on 3 hunger.
Sure. So let's move on to Oscar Kane. What has Oscar Kane been up to, and how is he doing?
I have been doing better. My main fixation has been on these decoding these messages that Jack left, specifically the one relating to Aish. But I'm not sure how much progress I've made really with it. I've maybe hit a little bit of a stumbling block, and as such, I've been getting hungrier and hungrier, and I'm feeling like I might have to dip into our supplies. Other than that, I have obviously kept an open line of investigation, trying to see if there are any mysterious artifacts or such that appear in various places on internet cafes nearby, or in books that I have managed to scrabble from my place or here and there. That's the main things that I've been up to. I'm not feeling too great. I'm kind of like, I have recovered a bit from the wound that I took, but I'm still actually feeling kind of a bit put down, I guess. Put in my place.
You've been battered around socially.
Yeah, and I'm still feeling like I'm sort of second fiddle to everyone a little bit. So
I don't know where you've got that idea.
Yeah, it's a weird one for Oscar to have.
Yeah, and Oscar's quite peckish.
Yes, hunger 4. Yes,
Hunger
I
4,
need
Hunger 4.
some food right now, please.
Well,
Yes.
John has our blood accountant has popped in the private chat. There are 6 bags of
6 bags.
6 bags of blood left in the refrigerator. So, is Oscar going to take one? And more to the point, is he going to tell people that he's done it?
So I guess I think I am going to have tried to not, and I've been out like hunting a couple of times, and it's failed,
Mm-hmm.
and reeling off of like the shame of all of that, I'm going to try to like take one with no one having noticed and not mention it to anyone.
Sure, I think that's reasonable. And more than that, let's make a roll for that. Let's make a roll for that, and before we find out how you did, we'll move on to Alex, and then we'll come back to it. So why don't you make a? I think Oscar's the kind of guy who'd use his wits for this rather than his dexterity and try and dash in when other people aren't around. So why don't you wits plus stealth and give me that roll? And I don't know. You have 3 companions, so let's make it difficulty 3. There we go. That's my reasonably thought out thing. But don't tell us what you get. Let's move on to Alex.
Can I use larceny instead?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
You can also blood surge, of course, to get more dice. Not at all risky. Alex has spent the last week cementing their control over the nascent herd of conspiracy theorists, getting better acquainted with them, and now has 2 or 3 of them that they can now call on for a nightly visit, should they wish, as well. And aside from those mortal matters, looking deeply into this book of secrets and wisdom, and definitely no confusing scribbles that left by Rosa Bowie and Regina Blake.
Yes, and for anyone who is unclear as to how the thrust of the interweaving of London Ascendant, Fall of London is going, one can always assume that essentially progress decoding Regina Blake's maddened scribblings in this book is equivalent to the progress of our other characters through Fall of London. In other words, what Alex has read are essentially an account of the events played in the last few sessions of Fall of London.
It is most dispiriting so far.
Things are going badly in that campaign. Not like this one.
And just as annoyingly, nothing of the only useful mention has been of that rodent, Henry Mears, who and nothing of use.
Nothing of significant use yet. How's Alex doing, kind of physically, hunger, stuff like that?
Perfectly. This entire experience has been invigorating. They have full health. Their willpower is strong. They are quite sated. Having a nascent herd is quite valuable.
Very much so. So moving on to Arthur Norris. John, what's he been up to?
So Arthur's been much the same as before, just sort of schmoozing with the rich drug takers of Club Valiant. What part of that sentence made you laugh particularly, Matt?
Just all of it. Schmoozing with the rich drug takers of Club Valiant.
It's accurate, nonetheless.
It's also the proximity to that other drug that begins with a V, and just imagining the rich drug takers of Club Valium is kind of entertaining to me.
That's true. I dare say someone has a standing order for that anyway.
There is a pun between Valiant and Valium in the film Beetlejuice. I felt like sharing.
Thank you, Matt.
We know. So, yes, Arthur has been reaching out to his contacts and still trying to further cement and establish his position, and also trying to do some work to cement the position of the operation in general. So the main thing he's done is reach out to. He's basically grown his herd, but he's also looking to make more contacts. Reach out to his old contacts on the continent, who could supply vessels for other people to eat. And at some point, presumably in this past week, there's been some kind of a social gathering that he's brought Cortland along to curry favour.
Sure. In other words, you are trying to re-establish your circulatory system background.
Yes.
And how's Arthur doing?
Arthur is doing well, much better than he was before. He has picked himself up a bit after being thrown in the lake. After, spending time around his peers and becoming more certain of his place in the social structure that he's in. And he has also taken care of the little bit of grazing he got when Terence threw a sucker punch at him, which I think he kept just long enough to show off to Harry of like, he did it to me too, but don't worry about it, it's all sorted.
Yeah, you should have seen what he looks like, i.e. unhurt but confused. So great. All right. Well, we'll talk again in a second about what the goals of the coterie are at the moment. But before we do that, Oscar, how did that roll go?
Well, I was rolling 5 dice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting 2 successes.
Almost.
Which is under the number.
So close. It is so close. All right. Well, why don't you, Oscar? You were the one rolling, so why don't you give me a D3 roll, please?
Okay. D3 roll. Hold on a second. I got a 1.
In that case, how appropriate that the Nosferatu would be the one to creep up on you while you're doing this. Mandrill, it's up to you while you're walking past this area, but you definitely see Oscar inside the refrigerator's in your kind of little council room, right? Is that the idea? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I get the impression
Yeah.
it is. It's in a public area.
Yeah, you see Oscar. You think he's attempting to be stealthy, but he's definitely snaffling a bag of blood from the refrigerator. You sincerely hope he wasn't trying to be stealthy, because there are spots kind of blood on visible on his waistcoat. It's up to you whether you remark on it or engage him in any way.
I think I'll just wait. I don't know. I'll just wait for Oscar to turn around.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm unaware. I like snuffle it. I'm like looking to either side, but I'm not like a bit.
I might, flick on the my obfuscate powers that are free, which is just the one to be silent, just to ease this process of not being detected.
So thinking I've just got away with it, I turn around and I immediately am confronted by Mandrill. Oh, hi.
Hello, Oscar.
I like have a reflex of hiding the blood bag behind my back, and then I realize that's foolish. How's it going?
Oh, well. I was just coming by because I wanted to ask if you wanted those shelves put up in your room. Some books you wanted to have more lifted off away in case there's any kind of moisture. You said something about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's so considerate of you.
Yeah, I'm very considerate. Remember a while ago I asked you for a favor?
Yes.
I think we were coming back from some trip into the tunnels.
Well,
I find that sometimes when picking out a nice piece of wood to work on, it would be really useful if I could really examine it. You're quite good at examining things, aren't you? You have a special gift for it.
Yeah, I suppose I do.
A careful eye. Might be useful for me to acquire that skill. in some way or another. Maybe we could
Yes.
talk it over a drink or something.
Yes.
Like the one you're having now, for example.
Yeah, we don't need to
Sometime,
mention
Oscar.
this to-
Sometime. Oh, it's perfectly normal to, if you're hungry, take a drink. Take a
Oh, I'm
drink.
so hungry. Oh, Mandrel, it's so good that you understand. I've been, getting those shakes where,
You
it's
know,
just
I'm the
terrible.
same way when I can't get the rats. You know, everyone. It's most embarrassing.
Yes,
Yeah.
when Mandrel can't get the rats.
But usually. But yeah, yeah. So whatever I can do for you, and we can keep this between us, good
Certainly,
buddies, good
certainly.
friends.
Well, I'm glad you're willing to be so accommodating.
What can I inspect for you? What can I analyze?
Oh, we'll get to it another time. Seems now I'll let you be. I'll get to those shelves.
Every time Oscar thinks he's unfurled the last horror of vampiric existence, another one unfolds in front of him. Yeah. Okay, so that was a nice little scene. Let's talk about the coteries' plans and assignments going forward. So I'm going to list them here, and you guys tell me if I've missed anything. So this is the overall coterie stuff, not the personal stuff. So first of all, you had an intention to go talk to Rowena, the former sheriff, one of the former sheriffs of London in Regent's Park, and essentially try and get her to take care of the Anarch problem by recruiting them as foot soldiers against the Second Inquisition. You are also, which is two birds with one stone for you, you are also charged with aiding Alex's sire Brazil in some kind of mission which seems to involve some kind of, I believe, some kind of infiltration or scoping something out was mentioned, but the details were unclear, and you're basically waiting on Brazil to turn up. Is that it? I think that might be it, because the stuff with Rosa Bowie was clearly taken care of.
Can we assume we have sent a pigeon or ghoul with information about what has happened to the
Absolutely. And you were basically a message came back telling you to hold firm, lay low for at least a week. Also, obviously, anything else you're doing, such as trying to, I don't know, find, maybe you're trying to pursue the events with Rose in some way, but I suspect not so much, apart from Alex's interpretations of this book. So with that in mind, a week has passed. What kind of thing will the coterie look to start doing? If anything, it's fine to say nothing.
I presume, given that my chambers, let's call them chambers as opposed to reused office rooms, I will hear the discussion probably that is going on, and I will join you in the conference room, and I will start suggesting things unless depending on how well you're covering up blood covering you.
I think it's definitely a couple of spots rather than kind of,
Good
like that.
evening, both of you. I hope that this evening finds you well.
Oh, certainly, Alex.
Yes, what a good evening.
Yes. You have a little stain, Oscar.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry, I should...
That's quite all right after recent events. All of our clothing has become a bit disheveled, I'm sure. I was wondering, and I would not wish to impose upon you, but it has now been several nights since our dreadful altercation with the Anarchs. Perhaps we could continue our plans to let Rowena release this problem from our burdens.
Well, certainly get some help on it. I think that's quite sensible, Alex.
Do you think she'll have better leverage than we do?
I am sure that she can channel their aggression and anger and childishness at a important target.
Or, I will say, coming into the room, adjusting my cufflinks, we could just find their haven and burn it to the ground.
I sympathize greatly with your desire there, Arthur. But perhaps if we could have them take out some of the Second Inquisition for us along the way, I have no doubt that their haven will be burnt down in due course if they continue in their current activities, but perhaps they can make themselves useful in the process.
That is a very encouraging thought.
Alex beams at this praise.
Okay. Do you think we need anything to encourage Rowena? Do we have anything?
We are helping her. We have provided. She asked us to return when we had ourselves or others with the will to fight the Inquisition with their hands and claws and things. And I believe we have found the soldiers. We are helping her. Wow, this is our gift, Oscar.
Wow, you have a way of phrasing things in the opposite way to the way I was thinking about them. But yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so shall we? Who should go? Should we all go?
What a fantastic question, Oscar. It could be that, well, you and Arthur have not met her yet, and perhaps she should become accustomed to you now with us, and we can present this as a unified force and be there all basking in the glory of sending the foot soldiers on to assist her.
Okay.
I am, or I must admit, as well, some trepidation. I suggest that we go together in case other recent events repeat themselves. I fear that we should not separate too much for just a little while.
It was sensible for us to lay low for some time, but things must move on.
Okay.
Very sage, Mandrill.
So.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like you are determined to head as a group to Regent's Park and try and engage with Rowena. I think we determined before Regent's Park is not very far from Mayfair. Are you walking the streets, or are you engaging the services of the supposedly perfectly fine and unmonitorable taxi company whose details you've been given?
I feel very nervous about the way you said supposedly.
Yes.
Let's go to the taxi company.
I think it's not. It really isn't far to walk.
No, it's not.
But I have such short legs.
Well, it also has been some time since we've properly been out, so I would agree with walking.
Sure, okay. Absolutely. So you head out of Down Street onto the streets of Mayfair, much as you left them, as you might imagine, and make your way through the night streets of London. Make your way north up towards Camden, towards Regent's Park, and before long, maybe in an hour or so or less, you are there and walking into the entranceway. The two of you who have not been here, thank you, Justin. 45-minute walk. Those of you who weren't here before, Oscar and Arthur, yes. Regent's Park is quite imposing at night. One sort of central, there were many pathways leading off the central one, but there was one very apparent central pathway leading down with lights all the way along it. I briefly went on mute when it became apparent you were going there to ask Steve to prep the photo for it, but he was already ahead of me. Look at that. There we go. Regent's Park at night. You're walking down that long central pathway. It is... Off that pathway in the world of darkness, it is much darker than it is in that image. The trees rustling somewhat threateningly around you, and very quickly you lose sight of any other individuals walking through a park at night.
Was it like this the first time you came?
Oh yes.
Pretty
I'll turn on
much.
heightened senses as well, just to make sure we're not snuck up on. We, Mandrill and I, simply had a lovely stroll before we were greeted and welcomed.
So we just patrol around here until
They find us. They know we're here. They'll appear when they want to,
Hmm.
I will start
if
walking
they want to.
casually, almost jauntily, perhaps.
Sure.
Almost jauntily.
Another couple of minutes passes, and then I think I will ask everyone for a wits plus awareness roll.
Why
please.
did I think you were going to say that?
Hmm.
I suppose if I could describe the way that Mandrill's walking, it would be animalistic, but not animalistic in the sense of like a stalking beast. More
Like a
animalistic in the sense of like a scurrying
sneaky,
rodent.
yeah, sneaky little friend.
Like furtive glances around, like a rat in an urban.
Sure.
An urban rat in a park.
So the difficulty on this is going to be 4.
Do
I
instincts
get 4.
apply?
Instincts definitely apply. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I
I'm
couldn't
only
think of
rolling 10
anything that
dice.
I couldn't think of anything that could apply more.
I succeed.
I received a
fail.
total failure.
5 successes.
Okay. In that case, Arthur and Alex, you notice the man walking out from the cover of the trees. Kind of your heads flick immediately, but at the motion in the corner of your eye, Mandrill and Oscar still kind of happily walking forwards. The man is tall, has kind of long brown hair, quite a hirsute individual with a sort of slightly bushy beard, and you can tell that they're a hirsute individual because they are completely 100% naked. They're also disarmingly muscular.
Great.
They're walking calmly with a quite unreadable expression towards the 4 of you.
When does Mandrill notice them?
Probably when Alex or Arthur says something.
I will start looking in their direction, and just rest my hands comfortably behind me and wait for them to approach.
I will also stop, clear my throat quietly to draw Mandrill and Oscar's attention. Whether or not that works is up to them, and do likewise.
Okay. I take a couple of extra steps and then I go, whoosh, and then I look around. Do I actually see this person after I look around, or am I still like?
Oh yeah. Okay. Once you know that once you've seen them, yeah, they're pretty noticeable.
I think Mandrill's total failure on their role means that they continue to walk oblivious of what their coterie are doing. But I think I do probably have sense the beast on generally, such that if somebody jumped me, I would notice. But that probably doesn't apply to noticing this person.
Okay, seeing that Mandrill is continuing up. Mandrill.
Probably would notice what I've got,
Yeah, I think
10
that's
feet
fair.
away or 15 feet away from the group.
I think that's fair. So this individual is walking forward quite calmly towards your group. They have a sense of coiled power about them, beyond the fact that they're just layered with muscle. They take steps forward, and as they do so, turn and start striding towards Arthur.
I will step forward to meet them.
They walk almost flush to you. The man's eyes kind of gaze at you, sort of taking you in. Why don't you give me a wits plus insight roll?
Yes. All right.
Difficulty 3. They're not particularly hiding things.
I'm
not
only
hiding
rolling
anything.
No.
4 dice. 3 successes.
They're not impressed with what they see.
Hmm.
They lean forward, kind of alongside your face, and you hear them going. And leaning back, having taken in your scent.
We'd like to speak to Rowena.
He looks up. You're fairly sure he must have heard you, but he gives no indication whatsoever of registering what you said.
Please, sorry, but yeah, I think Mandrill would speak up, noticing things.
Go ahead.
Please, we would like to speak to Rowena.
The man turns towards you, Mandrill, and starts walking towards you.
Rude.
Yes. I don't say that, but can I have Sense of the Beast on to which I'm happy to roll for it, but it would just be to detect if they are. I don't think they're imminently aggressive towards me, but I'm going to have it on just in case. Does that make sense? It would be a result.
I kind of imagine Sense the Beast as almost like a not just visual, but like a full senses, like layering over of
Sure.
like something in a video game or something, right? It's like a layering over of
Why not?
kind of the bestial nature of things inside.
It's eagle vision.
Yeah, sure.
You press the bumper and enemies glow red.
Yeah, sure. There is a beast inside this man, perhaps like you've never felt before.
I rolled 4 successes on my, which is resolve plus Anders, and it's I just remind you it's opposed
Sure.
by composure plus subterfuge. Not I imagine this person's strengths.
Absolutely not. I would say that I'm going to make that a difficulty too. What kind of information?
So the information, the two kinds of things that I'd be looking for are they imminently about to attack, and then the second thing is, are they ready to attack? Are they prepared to attack if necessary, or are they just trying to kind of be intimidated?
They are not about to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
They are. You've never felt someone more ready to immediately attack.
Yeah, I'm not immediately surprised by this information.
Feeling this individual's beast is like hearing a low growl in the underbrush behind you in the primordial forest.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's the times like this where I regret having this ability from animalism. It's a bit unnerving, but nonetheless, I've asked kindly, please can we speak to Rowena, and I think I would, gently repeat the request, stating that we have an offer of some small importance that may interest her.
The man, your words wash straight over him. He strides towards you and takes a couple of paces. He's kind of circling you, not far from you at all. And as he comes back round to the front, he reaches out slowly, kind of, he's not going for you. He reaches out slowly towards you and just kind of runs a couple of fingers over the ridges, the wood-like ridges along the surface of your flesh, and he brings them to his face, sniffs in, and then spits on the ground.
I think it's Mandrill's clearly not enjoying the encounter, and doesn't necessarily hide that amazingly well. But I mean, worse things have been said to me.
Sure. The man starts to take some paces away from Mandrill. Alex, you were going to say something.
No, go on.
He turns to kind of side on and considers you all again, and then he says something in a language none of you understand, a language of kind of guttural noises, snarls, odd barking sounds, and you hear, from the trees nearby, the kind of darkened woodland within Regent's Park, you hear a rustling, and then a loud, cacophonous howling erupts. Definitely from multiple sources.
My sense of the beast, I think, can on great successes can identify whether I'm talking to like a vampire or a werewolf or things like that. I'm pretty sure. I'm just double checking what the rules are.
On a critical, it tells you what kind of supernatural. On
Yeah, you're right. I didn't get a
critical.
Yeah, that's fair enough then. I didn't get a critical.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as players, we're like, this is probably lupines. But obviously, let's remember that as vampires, you probably haven't had many encounters with lupines. That's why you're still here. And also, probably many of you haven't had that many experiences with gangrel. And from what their reputation is, perhaps these are just gangrel.
I will then ask, so is Rowena here this evening?
A voice, a familiar voice behind the group. It's fair to say that you're all facing this man, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
From kind of behind you on the other side of the path says, cheers. Rowena's voice.
Probably would turn to Rowena. Although actually no, I probably wouldn't. I probably would keep my eyes on this large figure who
I will turn.
As will I.
Good evening. It is lovely to see you again.
You came here for a reason?
Yes, we have found some delightful kindred who may be interested and valuable in your more direct assault against the Inquisition.
And why are they not coming to me?
They are very angry. They were not necessarily interested in our point of view, but we thought that having met them, they seemed the sort that would be very amenable to your more direct style of leadership. We apologize if you are already aware of them, but they are, and I'll give the rough location of where they were.
You mean the Annex?
Indeed. Their primary goal seemed to be the disruption of the Inquisition, and whilst they may be anarchs, there are strange bedfellows in times like this.
Are you willing to act as a go-between? Or at least deliver some kind of introduction between us?
But of course, we would be remiss if we did not do so. Although I feel that whilst we will be glad to do this, they would probably be more receptive to a more physically gifted group than ourselves. A show of strength.
If you're referring to my friends, that's not going to happen.
Regardless, we will be happy to make introductions as you would require.
Did anyone keep watching the man and rather than turn to face Rowena? About partway through this conversation, he kind of like started walking backwards and slipped into the trees.
I still probably keep an eye on that kind of general area, even though Mandrill is awful at spotting anything.
Sure.
When she said show of strength, I sort of probably briefly glanced to where he was, and then I noticed he wasn't there, and I looked back and I was like very worried.
All right. This could be interesting. Let's go.
Lovely.
Let's go.
Camden Market is right next to Regent's Park.
Let's go.
Lucky.
You walk through the remaining pathways, occasionally hearing a rustle in the bushes and the trees nearby that maybe indicate to you are not alone on your way out of the park. But soon enough, you emerge, and Camden is ahead of you. as I said, somewhat more subdued than it would usually be due to these mysterious deaths that have been happening, i.e. the victims of Johnny's annex. Justin?
Could you describe Rowena again?
Yes,
just so I can
absolutely.
get an idea about what-
Absolutely. It has been a while. So Rowena, she is tall and broad, clearly a bodybuilder in life. She wears slacks, black t-shirt, baseball cap. She's white with shoulder-length blonde hair tied back and freckles, and she moves with confidence like a predatory cat, which is all cats. A big predatory cat.
A good predatory cat.
A good one.
Whereas Mandrill moves like a predatory rat.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously that man moved like some kind of large predatory canine thing. I don't know. Whatever. A fox,
like
maybe. Yeah. So, you emerge from Camden. It's ahead of you. Rowena is letting you take the lead, obviously.
Then I think like Mandrill probably would position himself more towards the front, seeing that, especially that Arthur and Oscar's reception last time wasn't well. Arthur's especially reception last time wasn't especially good.
He said he liked me.
That's true. He did like you. Why don't you come to the front, Oscar? It says
I'll
Mandrill.
come with you. Sure.
This is one of those points where I'm trying to wrestle between what John would do and what Arthur would do. And I think Arthur would do something not entirely sensible, which is put himself at the front of the group.
Oh.
Fair enough.
He liked you so much last time. Do you think?
Yeah, have you ever heard of the leading from the rear? It's a classic officer.
Like as Arthur comes to the front, I'll be like, "Are you sure?"
Well, I'm not going to hide at the back, Oscar.
That's a fair point. He'll probably respond to strength.
So, why are you here, Oscar? Mandrill's mostly. You can even tell Mandrill's mostly joking.
So you are walking through the kind of quiet streets around Camden Market itself. Are you where are you heading towards? Are you heading towards the quayside where you had the unfortunate confrontation with the annex? Are you heading towards where you initially saw the individual who kind of lured you into the ambush? Where are you going for?
Alex was going for when we met them on the grounds that reminding them of the unfortunate incident would be unfortunate.
Yes.
So like the nighttime stalls of Camden is where you first encountered the one individual who kind of you gave chase to, I believe. So
Yes.
Yeah, you can walk around there. As you do so, you quite quickly become aware as a group. I don't even think you need a roll, that there are individuals watching you from the shadows. Every now and then you pass someone who's just kind of off by an alleyway, kind of leaning on a wall, watching you, always taking care to remain quite hidden until you turn a corner and there is a large, almost open market area, like a little square with a bunch of empty stalls around it, down to the nighttime. Over on the canal, there is actually a kind of like a party boat, like a barge, where there's some kind of loud party going on, blaring kind of loud club music. And as you kind of walk forward into this area, you can see that one of the individuals gathered in this open area at the center of market stalls has a kind of mop of dark black hair and is wearing large, cheap plastic sunglasses. It is Johnny Gallagher. Would we like a full description of him again? Do we think is that useful? Yeah, let's go for it.
Go for it.
So, as I say, he's got a messy mop of dyed black curls, cheap sunglasses, a leather jacket and jeans and a white T-shirt with a Coca-Cola logo on it. He's got skinny build and razor-sharp cheekbones. If you are the same age as me or older, he looks very much like he's one of the Jesus and Mary chain. I'm technically a millennial. You won't believe it, but I technically am. So they are sat around. You recognize a couple of the other annex as well. You don't see the other one you know the name of. Ula, you don't see her there. But they're just sat around. It would be a minor miracle if they didn't know you were there, but they are ignoring you.
I guess. As we walk
I'm
up.
going to lead the group over to Johnny.
So
What's the immediate area? Did you say it was like market stalls and things like that?
yeah, it's like a little open, like a little court in the middle of the market area. So it's ringed by empty stalls, but there's like a wide open, flat concrete area with a couple of maybe a couple of bench tables, and they're just kind of sat around on those, sat on them. And
I'm eyeing up one of those bench tables for if things start to get a bit rowdy, I think I might try and pick one up and
wrench it off.
pretty much, and just do some kind of impressive feat of strength I'm kind of preparing, looking around for something that might crash loudly and impressively.
Sure.
If the situation demands it.
Absolutely. So you walk up how close are you going to get with them before you start talking? Because they are completely ignoring you.
Pretty close.
I feel like the standard standoff distance as set by UK Parliament is 2 sword lengths. So I'm going to stand about 2 sword lengths away from Johnny Gallagher.
Sure.
And I'm going to say, "Good evening, Johnny."
Johnny is kind of talking very enthusiastically towards one of his pack of annex, kind of gesturing with his hands. It's a fast flow of sort of that's why it's so important that we just have to do what you don't understand. It's all it's like and I apologize because I know there is a formal one here. It's like a university philosophy student on every kind of drug under the sun. And there's a reason for that. You suspect he is under the influence of some kind of blood-based narcotic. His eyes are wide and he's kind of almost shaking as he does this gesticulating. And he just kind of turns and looks at you and with a faint smile says, I'll be with you in a minute. He turns to kind of his acolyte, who's kind of watching and listening to him with rapt eyes, and he goes, "Do you understand? Do you understand?" And kind of shakes them by the shoulders, and they go, "Yeah, Johnny, I get it, Johnny, I get it."
Can I give Rose a look of just kind of like, please be patient with us?
I'm assuming you mean Rowena.
Rowena, sorry, yeah, Rowena, a look, and it's just kind of a please be patient with us. It's best not to disturb him, kind of thing.
Does he seem to be just continuing, or is he?
No, he kind of turns at this point and stands up, leans over. A glob of blood splatters on the concrete ground. He steps towards Arthur and just reaches out and kind of feels at your lapel. Dry already.
Amazing. It has been a week, Johnny.
Time passes fast here, yeah? He sort of takes the cheap sunglasses off and starts kind of rubbing at them almost feverishly with his t-shirt. You can see even from here, I know that the forensics of vampires on drugs might not match up, but for the sake of storytelling, his eyes wide, bloodshot, kind of blinking a bit too rapidly. He is definitely on something.
Could I do a medicine roll to...
Yeah, sure.
With
why
my
not?
specialism in drugs?
I see no reason why not. Why don't you give me a resolve plus medicine roll using your specialty?
It's my I always forget. Does my specialty give me 1 or 2 extra?
Yeah, it just gives you an extra die.
Okay.
Did you want to say something, Alex?
Yes, I was going to ask if I could make a similar roll based on insight, determined based on his current mood, what kind of social approach would seem the most applicable, so that I could then
that seems
lean
reasonable.
over and whisper in Arthur's ear?
That seems reasonable. Probably going to push that difficulty quite high because you've only encountered him once before,
Sure,
and
yep.
you're not sure what he's on, right? So let's say that for Arthur your difficulty is 4, and for Alex your difficulty is 5. How about that?
I willpowered it and still only got 1 success. So
Sure.
I am going to use a blood surge, which is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. Yeah. In all honesty, the approach that might be best to getting through to this individual, as chaotic as he already seems, on whatever he's on, your honest advice will probably be go away and come back another night. But if you had to pick an approach, I guess pander to him. That approach is one you pick not based on the drugs at all.
I will lean forward like a consigliere, an advisor, and just whisper in Arthur's ear. He seems like he would respond to pandering and ego stroking, painful though it may be. And then lean back.
look, Johnny, I know we didn't make the best of impressions last time we were here. And I'm sure you want nothing more than to never see at least my face ever again. But we have someone here who you may find more on a level to yourself.
Yeah, is that right? You bring in another one of your Cami administrators. You think that's gonna impress us in any way? Is that what you think?
Oh, I'm not trying to impress you, Johnny. I know that's a lost cause, but she's someone who you may have goals aligned with your incredible own.
And how would you know someone whose goals align with ours? You've got no idea what we want and what we're here for and what we can do. He reaches out and just kind of jabs you in the forehead.
You know, Arthur, maybe we don't know anything about this, and that's probably why we should let, the adults do the talking. People whose minds are elevated above the kinds of things that we tend to think about, small Camarilla matters, who's who and who's eating who this week. I agree. Johnny doesn't want to discuss that kind of crap with us. Let's just show him the important. Let's just introduce him to this to Rowena. She barely has time for us to be wasting on us here anyway.
Anyone who's been paying any attention to Rowena, by the way, will see that she's kind of standing in the back of your group, arms, large arms, crossed over her chest, looking so unimpressed.
I mean, ultimately, Rowena said this would be a waste of time anyway. Maybe she's right, and we should just get it over and done with.
Johnny kind of rounds on you with Rowena next to you and walks up saying, "What, you don't think we're worth your time?"
If you touch me, Johnny, I will break you.
You might be right there, Rat. But here's the thing. There's a whole big bunch of us, and there's only 5 of you. I'm not so gone I can't count. And I'd just like to know what you're planning on doing. He's kind of taken, he's not up against you yet, but he's taken kind of steps forward as he does this. And as he walks within, maybe you were planning some violence as well, but Rowena's got a lot longer reach than you. Rowena almost lazily swings out with one arm, and there are two noises in sharp sequence with each other. One is the iron, the kind of almost an iron hard meaty slap sound as Johnny is just backhanded hard, and the other is the sharp crack as his skull hits the concrete ground and breaks open immediately. There, blood coating the ground already. The other annex are kind of sat around just going, kind of can't believe, in disbelief that the violence hasn't been instigated by them, essentially. Johnny is kind of slowly picking himself up off the ground, kind of making noises that if a mortal was making them would probably be an indicator that it's already too late to call the ambulance.
Arthur is
Johnny,
trying not to pull this face.
would you be so kind as to accept our introductions to our dear friend Rowena?
One of the annex, kind of one larger than the others. I believe I kind of mentioned one who was kind of a big brutish one who was almost maybe slightly convinced by Oscar's manipulations. Yeah. Let's say it's that guy, right? He kind of leaps up and bounds a couple of steps forward towards Rowena, who just rounds on him, and he kind of almost stumbles back. The animalistic rage on her face. I mean, you're stood next to her and she's not doing it at you, and you...
Yeah, I would be terrified.
At the very least, and back off at the most.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well...
I just gonna put a hand on Oscar's, just one more second. A little bit more. Johnny, it would be really useful if you would give Rowena a little bit of your time to discuss this whole, antigen problem. I think that both of you really could benefit from the situation and a civil conversation.
Rowena drops down to one knee, leans down towards Johnny, who's literally holding his jaw on, and kind of looks up at her. His sunglasses kind of smashed off his face. One side of his face kind of slightly caved in, blood pouring down his jaw. And Rowena quite softly says to him, "I've literally lost count of how many little shits like you I've seen meet the sun at my hands. I'm offering you an opportunity. If you like violence and you like wreaking havoc, I can provide those things. But there has to be some respect. I'm in Regent's Park. Come find me. If you want to talk, or if you want to fight. But if you come for the latter, you'll all die." She stands up, turns and starts walking away.
I'm going to follow.
I'll try and get a bit of his blood on my shoes.
For a bit of shoe licking later.
Yep.
I will lead down, actually, and I will do just quickly the same, because having recently tasted some of Arthur's blood, it might be useful to just taste some of someone else's anyway, and then say, "It was lovely to meet you again. I hope that your clothes dry soon as well." And stand up and walk up.
Water under the bridge.
Jesus, that's just... I think Mandrill is just completely terrified by what just happened, and it's like, I'm gone, I'm leaving.
The vague thought, yeah, I don't know.
I will take one last moment to bathe in this wonderful visage and follow the group, maybe throwing after me, "You should put some ice on that."
As we're sort of walking away, I think I will actually mention to Mandrel, is this possibly the only opportunity we have to complete our mission with regards to the annex in a more direct fashion?
Oh,
But
I think Mandrel is just like not even listening to Oscar.
sure, okay.
I'm shell shocked.
Okay.
As you kind of walk away as a group, you hear kind of Johnny clambering up to his feet behind you and shouting at your retreating group. I mean, it's unintelligible because his jaw's hanging off, but clearly the intent is there. As you do so, you see a couple of the other annex kind of off in the shadows watching what's happened, and among them you see Ula, the individual who seemed to perform some kind of perhaps spiritual or priestly role for the group. She is watching the back of the Rowena as she walks away, and she has an expression on her face of interest and consideration. So, you emerge from Camden Market. Rowena turns to you as a group and nods and says, "We'll see." And walks
Thank
off.
you very much. I could say as she walks off.
Thank you for your time.
She offers no similar pleasantries.
No, that's fair. That's deserved. We didn't do very much.
I will just say quite after, it was lovely to see you again.
It was lovely to see that.
God.
I can see how she was the lawkeeper, let us say.
It's things like that remind you, just what the value of being part of the Camarilla is. Oscar, you'd have no idea what it was like.
Mandrel, words.
Sorry.
Just to assuage you, there's no one around because, like I said, Camden's quite empty now. But yes, technically, yes. The group has nothing particular to do out and about at the moment, I suppose. Would anyone like to hunt on their way back to Down Street, assuming that everyone is going back to Down Street?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be very inclined.
Oscar presumably looks a bit shaky.
I restored.
Oh, you restored one, didn't you?
Yeah, he's down to 3. So,
but
yeah.
I still would quite appreciate.
If you say anything about going to hunt, I will repeat my mention earlier that none of us should go alone, and I will gladly accompany.
Although I suppose, although you are correct, I suppose it's worth pointing out for the viewers as much as anyone else that I think out of everyone's, Oscar's is probably the safest form of hunting.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of trading
because of his illicit blood trade.
Yeah,
although I suppose it's maybe the most dangerous in terms of the Inquisition because it's the most easily tracked.
Also, do we know how Oscar hunts?
No, that's true.
And even if I did, I'd still be expecting Oscar to fly into a race saying, "I will pay £5 and no more," and then beat someone into death.
Yes,
with
absolutely. Hands up anyone who wants to hunt. So Pierre and Justin, cool. Okay. And Oscar, you've had an offer of accompaniment from Alex. Are you going to take them up on
it? Sure, I can show them the way of the streets.
That's what I think of when I think of Oscar.
Yes.
So let's deal with Mandrel first. Mandrel, are you hunting or are you going to snaffle from your herd because it's a new week?
I think I'll give hunting a go.
Okay, sure. So go ahead and give me your hunting roll, please.
Just text myself.
Also wants accompaniment. I will act as lookout, or however it is she does it.
Does Mandrel want accompaniment?
I'm sure, yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely fine by me.
Okay. Arthur, do you have stealth?
I think I have 1 point in stealth.
Then you're as stealthy as I am, Arthur.
Then you know what? Mandrel, add an extra die to your hunting roll.
Much appreciated.
The difficulty is 4.
I got 4.
Hey, there you go. You are then you can feed. And I think the rule isn't just a point of hunger, right? It is you can have a maximum well, it kind of depends what you're doing, I guess. Why don't you describe to me what you're doing? You're in Mayfair now, and you're being Sandman-y. So is it a hotel, perhaps?
Yeah, and I think Arthur would be a good, like, hotels. We could be in a Mayfair hotel and not look out of place if Arthur's around. So I
Sure.
think that would work quite well. And then probably, just trying to find either a porter asleep on the job in the middle of the night, or an open room or something like that we can snake. I think hotels are good places to look for sleeping people. So
I would be happy to book a room as cover.
Sure, yeah, or even whatever works. I mean, you've got a pretty face, Arthur. You could be here on business. We could pretend all kinds of things.
I think a good idea is just like, even if Arthur just distracts the what would you call it, the clerk, the receptionist, at the door of the hotel, and that gives Mandrill an opportunity to slip through the corridors of this hotel. And you find a hotel maid asleep in a quiet corner of one of the corridors. You creep over and start to drink, and as you do, you're overcome by a very intense, powerful sense from this woman's blood. Most of all, the sense that she is definitely not where she'd thought she'd be at this point in her life, and kind of you have this sense of regret and ennui that life has come to this, and perhaps maybe this inspires a moment of Mandrill of regret that you have in some small way made this woman's life even worse. Translation: the resonance of that blood was intense, melancholic.
Brilliant.
So essentially the rules behind that are that it will help you if you wish to gain any fortitude or obfuscate in the near future, and also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Neill, because it's intense, it also gives you a small buff to those disciplines. Is that correct?
An extra die.
An extra die,
rolls.
which could work for you if you're using some obfuscate, because that's one of your disciplines.
I'm sure that will be something that will be useful.
Yeah. I believe it's in your system until either you next drink or you go to Hunger 5. Is that correct? I knew rules we haven't used before.
And can I take 2 points of blood?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you can.
Brilliant. I'm down to one hunger then.
Whoa. Excellent. So Oscar then. Oscar, what is your role for? Is it wits plus streetwise for your bloodbaggery?
Intelligence plus streetwise, but yes.
Intelligence plus streetwise. Alex Taylor Brown, do you possess any points of streetwise?
Alex possesses a single dot of streetwise.
That is
brilliant.
Enough. So add an extra die to that for Alex's help, and the difficulty is 4.
Okay, so I'm rolling 6 dice. Difficulty 4, you say?
I say difficulty 4, and
I'm going to willpower reroll that, and I fail to beat willpower reroll that, which is a bestial failure.
I mean, Alex was expecting this.
This is why Alex is here.
Absolutely. Oh, Oscar Kane.
Look, I've got good intel. This person is totally trustworthy. Nothing can go wrong. This is airtight.
Oh my god.
So, what's the default? What's the default compulsion for Tremere? Perfection.
I can't remember the rules exactly, but I always get it mixed up with.
It's quite similar to the Ventru one, right?
Is it that you have to pass something with a critical?
Yeah, until you score a critical win on any skill roll or the scene ends, you suffer 2 dice penalty.
But if you retry something you've already tried, it's on your 1 dice penalty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're
So if you keep trying
right?
something.
Yeah.
Must get it perfect.
Yeah. Your initial phone calls to your contacts achieve nothing. You scour the streets of Mayfair looking for the type of person who might deal you some blood, but it was an effort that was inevitably going to fail. Alex manages to talk you down from a moment of anger and frustration in an alleyway where you look like you're about to perhaps go off the deep end slightly. But the entire charade just leaves you with the sense of, why can't you get anything right? So yeah, until the scene ends, or you get a critical, you are down by 2 dice, or 1 die if it's something you've attempted already.
Repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I can't continue hunting.
I would say you've exhausted certainly this area. Perhaps if you wanted to go to Soho and try, I'd be willing to let you have a go at that. And of course, you just have a 1 die penalty. But it's up to you and whether that's how you want to spend more of your evening, and whether that's how Alex wants to spend more of their evening.
Alex is considering this as part of their duties, and would have been trying to school you in various things of the Camarilla and the traditions, but you're probably not that receptive to it right now. So we'll continue to assist anyway, grudgingly.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Soho is more your stomping ground, so
yeah, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I think we already said that Soho is difficulty 4 as well, because it's a kind of bohemian neighborhood. So with that in mind, yeah, you can proceed on. And obviously, by this time, Arthur and Mandrill are back at Down Street. So Oscar and Alex proceed on to Soho. So just give me your flat hunting roll, because you get a boost from Alex, but you also get a -1 from your perfectionism.
Yep. So that's difficulty. So I'm rolling 5 dice at difficulty 4, and that is a success.
There we go.
Miraculously without a blood surge, but yes, it was probably a good idea to do so.
Sure. So you wander the streets of Soho. You go to one of your contacts there who you've done this a few times with before, and rather desperately kind of knock on the door. Was it the guy with the pawn shop? I don't think it is the guy with the pawn shop who we've mentioned, isn't it? He's a separate sort of kind of vague contact of yours.
Yep.
But yeah, you knock on the door of this guy. He opens up, explains, Oscar, I was just heading out. Have you got anything to trade? Of course you do.
Yeah. You know me, I've always got something, for an eagle-eyed person such as yourself, I say, and I'm like fishing through my pockets but just anything
Sure.
I think could possibly be traded.
Let's say you have a little folio that you've been reading as you've decided whether to sell it or not. You trade that in for a blood bag, and then go to a hopefully private place to consume it. Well, your shop is in Soho, so you can go there.
I'll go there. Is there? Yep.
So
is my shop empty? Is there anyone in my shop?
No, it's the evening, so it's shut.
Yeah, I know, but I have some weird.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. No, you made this roll. It would be an interesting way to do a failure like that, wouldn't it? Or a messy critical specifically.
Yeah.
But no, you didn't. So yeah, it is empty, and it has been immaculately cleaned head to toe by Junius, who had a shift that day. He really is. Yeah, you can consume that blood. Here's an interesting question for you, Neill. I'm sure that it may not be in the rules, but what's your take on this? I'm just interested. Resonance in blood bags.
Oblivion.
Is it always oblivion?
They either have no. Yeah, it's basically the most fleeting of fleeting oblivion, because it's null resonance, like a corpse.
Right. Okay.
But if I'm thinking about resonance, I might taste the resonance of the blood on my shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give that a go. But regardless, yeah, you get, obviously it tastes like any other blood from blood bag, as Alex said, like an emptiness, like a hollow grey void. And yeah, take 2 hunger off. It's 2 hungers worth.
You're going to sample the blood on your shoe after you've been walking around Mayfair and Soho.
See, this is why I just sampled it when I was there.
It's not an exaggeration to say I've tasted blood off more disgusting things.
That you sound like a university
or
student.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Oscar too. So, okay. Well, in that case, go ahead and give me after you've drunk your fill from these blood bags. Give me a roll for tasting Johnny's blood. Johnny Gallagher, the character, not Johnny the Keeper, on our Monday series of Call of Cthulhu, which you guys should check out.
Oh, that's a good...
Pierre has probably never drunk his blood,
as far as we know, yet.
I will make no comments. So I'm rolling 6 dice at I can't remember what the difficulty is. Difficulty 3 and hunger 1. I rolled 4 successes, so that is a success.
Okay, tell me the kind of information you can pick up from this.
So I can identify whether it belongs to a mortal ghoul or vampire. I also determine the relative blood potency, so I can tell relative to me where they are. And I didn't get a critical win, so I can't tell whether they committed diablerie. Sure. And I can determine the resonance and intensity of the blood. If they're human, I don't.
If they're human,
have resonance?
No.
Vampiric
Vitae is all one block of amazing goodness, except when it isn't. Depending on how much you drink and whether they. Never mind. Let's move on from that. Okay. So, unsurprisingly, Johnny is kindred.
Yeah.
As for his blood potency, what is your blood potency? It is 1, right?
I'm 1. Yeah.
Yeah. You feel that Johnny is somewhat more potent than you, but not by much.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, back at Down Street. And you know what? We might stay here for a little bit. So let's whip Neill and Pierre off screen, and then we'll talk to Arthur and Mandrel there. Oh yeah, that's better. I like that. So you arrive back at Down Street. Obviously, Mandrel has successfully drunk her fill, and as soon as you arrive, you go in through the postern, I would imagine. And as soon as you arrive, walking through, one of the ghouls, one of the elders' ghouls, walks up to you, assault rifle slung over one shoulder, and she says, "Sir,
yes."
A couple of us have heard noises from one of the tunnels. We shone some lights down there, but we didn't think it was wise to go investigate without your say-so, or if we didn't know if you wanted to look. We didn't know what to do.
What kind of noises?
Odd ones.
Very descriptive.
Animal noises, sir.
You can't really blame them for not knowing what's going on down the tunnels. That was very good of you. Thank you for telling us immediately.
Just down there. They point to kind of over where one of the places that you tend to scour for rats and stuff. Kind of a tunnel that sort of leads off. It does have some things off it, but at the end of it, it's kind of blocked off. It's not a functioning underground tunnel, obviously.
The rat tunnel.
Yeah, the rat tunnel. There's a couple of ghouls over there, kind of like guns out, kind of like just peering into the darkness.
Well, then I will start walking over, and maybe I'll look back on Arthur and kind of come in.
I'll follow. You haven't been hiding anything down here, have you?
My plans are not yet that developed, Arthur.
Yet. All right.
So you wander over, you kind of where the ghouls are now, and they kind of notice you alongside them. They visibly relax slightly when they see you approach, and one of them says, just down there, Mr. Norris."
And how long has these noises been going on for then?
Pretty much since you left.
Well, I'm going to walk down them and I'm going to be, sensing the beast and using my silence of death to be silent as the grave and have a kind of early warning spider sense system if anything jumps out at me.
Sure. None of that, it turns out, is necessary. Although you start as you take a couple of paces forward. Once you are a couple of paces before the others, a small form emerges from the darkness. One of the ghouls yelps and fires around, which ricochets off the kind of the old like the old rail next to the creature and just ricochets off into the darkness. The other ghoul kind of swings around and like knocks the gun of that ghoul kind of up to prevent them firing anymore and goes, "Jesus Christ, Gary! It's just a cat." It is a small black cat. You might have just get the sensation you might have met this cat before.
Well, I mean, is it the small black cat of my Nosferatu elder?
Why don't you give me a wits plus? Is animal ken in this edition?
It is, yes.
Yes.
So
wits plus
then.
animal ken roll. Yeah, sure. Difficulty 3.
Okay, well, I might critical. I will roll my 2 die, and I get 0 successes. It's a black cat.
It's a black cat. All black
But
cats.
I might reach down and stroke it nonetheless.
As you reach down to do so, it sits there quite patiently, kind of looking up at you. And as soon as you're near, it kind of turns round with a relaxed demeanor and strolls off into the darkness deeper in the tunnel.
I'll follow after it.
Don't believe an entire haven of ghouls with guns, and you've been scared about a cat all night.
The ghoul who rather sensibly prevented Gary from filling the cat full of lead says, to be fair, sir, it was noises. We didn't see the cat. We just heard yowling and screeching.
You acted perfectly well. Arthur, come join me. Or not.
Gary will talk about this when we get back. And I'll follow Mandrill into the tunnels.
You stride down into the darkness of the tunnels. After a while, Mandrill, you're used to this. After a while, Arthur, your eyes adjust a bit. And there is light coming in, obviously, from down street. It's just, this far in, it's very diffused. And there's kind of rubble, some small amount of rubble on the ground. I don't think Arthur's really been in the tunnels all that much, right? I know Oscar's been around them a bit, but like Arthur's mainly just coming in and out via posterns and stuff.
I think only the bits where we've had to flee through the tunnels to get
with
home.
Mandrill.
Sure,
yeah.
With Mandrill,
but not spending time walking through them in a calm fashion.
No.
It's quite different, I think. I think it's fair to say that Arthur's perhaps a little bit
I've got a question for Arthur.
Yes.
Arthur, is it an absolute requirement that you tell your sire everything? Are you permitted any secrets?
I'm permitted as many secrets as I care to keep, Mandrill. Why?
Well, I just find that I prefer to exchange information for a price. And if we learn things tonight, well, I guess it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. I just like holding on to my secrets.
A very sensible approach. Can we have Sebastian Marley's art up, please? There we go. Sebastian Marley, skeletal and elongated, with a swathing red cloak swirling around him, leans over between the two of you from behind, and one long, almost clawed appendage of a hand rests softly on Mandrel's shoulder. On kind of just around his back and up his head, the black cat is almost curled, kind of like just rubbing the side of its face against his grotesque, almost kind of goblinoid features.
Good evening, Mr. Marley.
Good evening to both of you. He steps out from behind Mandrel and kind of almost kind of comes to face you, but somehow seems kind of even less distinct. And in the darkness, all you can kind of see is his pale face and this crimson flowing robe swirling in the darkness.
Thank you so much for joining us here at Barhaven. I'm sorry it's such a paltry affair right now.
We all do what we can with what we have. I come with an opportunity.
I think Mandrel probably kind of sits down in the kind of what I imagine to be like gravel or rubble, like in the tunnel, almost
Maybe a big
kind of like
chunk of concrete that you can kind of like
Yeah.
half lean and sit on.
in kind of like a kind of in the kind of way that you might do if you were sitting down to prepare yourself to listen to a story that you think you're going to enjoy and kind of set into.
Sure. How's Arthur reacting to all this?
I am still standing, but sort of like, hands tucked behind my back. I almost said formal yet casual.
Yeah, kind of
I don't know if
That's
that
such
makes
a
sense.
bedroom statement.
politely
Not me.
attentive. Politely attentive. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Marley nods with satisfaction and kind of crouches down. The cat drops off his shoulder and pads away somewhere into the darkness to go about its business.
Marley's huge, isn't he?
Marley is very tall. Marley is probably about 7 feet tall when kind of fully extended out, but rarely is. So yeah, on crouch down, Marley is like a good foot above you as you're sat. Sure. I know that my esteemed clanmate has heard tell of the King of Shadows. Mr. Norris, are you fully cognizant of this individual?
I do not believe I am, I'm afraid. You've caught me quite unawares.
Oh, think nothing of it. A regular state of affairs for me.
Yes.
There is an individual who was rumoured before the fall of London, but since then seems to have sprung into full life, a legend made flesh, yes? And they have secured for themselves a firm grasp on everything below the ground in London. Obviously, this is frustrating for my clan.
I can understand.
I have, however, through contacts and friends, he gestures towards where the cat stalked off into the darkness, managed to arrange a meeting with this King of Shadows, and I would like to send you as representatives of our organization. He's kind of gestured out towards you with one incredibly long-fingered paw, in a gesture where he's kind of into the magnanimity of the choice of you very important individuals.
I think Mandrill maybe hangs her head a little bit and says, I have no excuses as to why I have not been able to arrange such a meeting already, and merely thank you for allowing me to continue to try and make connections with the King of Shadows with my coterie.
Oh, Mandrill, well, the younger of us try and fail, and the elders just must step up and instruct and lead. It is the way of things.
And
Mr. Norris?
might I ask, as your representatives to this king, what viewpoint would you like us to put forward?
Well, that is a very good question. We would like to negotiate for access to all of the King of Shadows territory in perpetuity while we remain here in London, and in response and return, we are very happy to grant many, many boons and favours to such an enterprising individual. I have secured the service of a guide who can take you to the king's agent, a clanmate already settled in this fair city.
Who might that be?
His name is Z, I believe.
Z.
He says, I believe you. You're absolutely sure that Sebastian knows what his name is.
Oh, yes.
Is he sure it's not Zed?
He is sure. I debated myself how I was going to say it.
I think we have heard of this Z from another clanmate of ours.
His name is in Jack's files then, yes?
Yes.
Interesting. You should practice what you preach, Mandrill.
I think I've learned a lot of secrets tonight. It's only fair that I share a few.
Oh, that is appreciated. Well then, if you proceed down that tunnel over there, Z will be waiting for you in an hour. You still have several before dawn.
We shall bring our friends. They should be back soon.
No.
Just as?
The request was made to Mandrill and Mr. Norris from myself. Let us keep this not threatening for this king, yes? Not enforce a velvet glove.
As you wish.
It's perfectly understandable, and thank you very much for this honor, Mr. Marley.
Oh, it was my pleasure. As the voice dips down into nothingness, Marley almost looks like he's gliding away backwards until the white face the swirling red robe in the darkness gone. And off some distance, you just hear the distinctive sound of a rodent squealing in some kind of horrible final pain as a prowling little predator makes a kill. I take it you're going down that tunnel.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can't say no.
Very good. Well then, while you do that, while you wander down this tunnel in the middle of the night in a dead part of the London Underground, why don't we do a big old swap of characters and find out what happens back at Down Street when Alex and Oscar arrive back. Hello. So you
Hello.
arrive back from Soho. Is there anything else you want to do out in London, or are the two of you after your Soho expedition likely to come straight back?
I have nothing. Alex, was there anything you wanted to do?
Was Oscar still being a perfectionist?
I am still being a perfectionist. I have not critically succeeded.
Okay,
It is till the end of a
intended.
scene, but
Okay.
it's kind of vague on exactly what a scene constitutes. I would say that because the hunting was basically a role, it wasn't exactly a scene. So let's have
Right.
it to the end of something that has considerable dialogue or other dice rolls made.
Yep, that's what I thought. In which case, no, Alex is mainly concerned with making sure that Oscar doesn't do anything foolish or dangerous.
Okay.
That seems reasonable. So a return to Down Street. Do you come back in via the front or via the postern?
I believe we were having a perfectly normal night, so
Yeah.
no need to go anywhere underground.
Certainly. So you walk in through the main entrance. I mean, it's not like just walking in. You still have to kind of perhaps jimmy open a door or use a specific key to it. Open that, go through a couple of internal chambers, and then down that large underground stairs towards Down Street. As you do so, you round the corner and onto these stairs going down. About halfway down the stairs is a figure sat kind of resting against the wall, sat on one kind of balustrade of the stairs down with his legs up and across kind of the dividing fencing, the dividing balustrade between the other stairs, going up and going down. Oscar, there's some man there that they're obviously, it's a person there. Maybe they're not even that important for you to register who they are. Alex, it's Brazil.
Ah.
Good evening. What pleasure brings you to here?
Well, Alex Taylor Brown, I thought we might talk about that little job that the bigwigs had for me and therefore for you.
That sounds delightful. Does this job involve the esteemed Mr. Kane?
Oh, it can do. Yeah. The more the
Lovely.
merrier. More eyes.
Shall we retire to the conference room?
All right. He hops to his feet. You know what, Alex? I think I can describe Brazil more thoroughly for you because you can definitely get a better look. You know what Brazil looks like. So to you, Brazil appears to be a shortish, wiry man with kind of soft, just past shoulder length brown hair, kind of a shadowed face, and even to you, the features kind of not unclear, but you can never quite remember exactly what he looks like. He typically wears jeans, blue jeans, sneakers, and nothing else, as indicated by that picture. The three of you walk down and proceed to the conference room and stride in. Brazil takes a very similar pose, rocking kind of back on a chair, feet up on the small metal refrigerator, puts his hands behind his head and says, "All right, what did they tell you?"
This is what they have told us.
Right. Yeah. I have to do everything. That's to be expected.
I do apologize.
Well, we've got a job. Me and the little coterie they've assigned to me. Oh, and the big ugly fella. What's he called? Grindle? Grumble?
If you would like.
Whatever. There's a building in Westminster. A building we have to case and then infiltrate. Oh, and it's Second Inquisition.
Who's the? And then I'd probably lose it.
I see.
Oh no! Finish what you were saying. Oscar, isn't it? Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah. Pleased to
out with it.
meet.
Out with it.
Oh, so can I now acknowledge he's here or not?
Oh yeah. You've known he's here, and what he's saying is fine. Really it's just you can't really. He just for whatever reason maybe doesn't seem worth remembering what he looks like or noting it or whatever.
Any details about him?
Yeah.
And I can't be like, and we've met before.
You have a vague recollection of meeting this individual before, yeah.
Okay. Oh God.
But enough that maybe you might even ask for an introduction again.
Yeah. Yes, my name is Oscar Kane. Pleased to meet you. And you are.
Oh, yes. Sorry. He reaches forward and extends a hand to you and says, Cortland Layton.
Ah, right. Does that make sense to me, or does that make no sense
not at all?
To
no,
me?
Not at all.
Good,
not
good.
All.
Right. I like look to Alex sort of for reassurance that we're not just like being scammed by somebody.
Alex's expression is of patience, and
Total patience.
If they catch your eye, it will be an expression that you should have patience.
Okay. Second Inquisition, you mentioned.
Yeah. Nice, safe little job.
What are we attempting to find inside?
The broad answer is anything. The specific answer is information pertinent to our current operations, and also, well, it seems like little Rosa Barwi might be there.
Delightful.
So we have orders to spring her if we can, and if we can't...
I understand. Sadly, we were not able to do such a thing due to the frantic nature of the previous attack.
Yeah. So we get in.
Make amends.
We can. We get in. We probably burn her alive. We get out. Oh, and pick up extra information and etc. etc.
Right.
Fortunately, one of my coterie is a big-brained fucking nerd. So they'll be able to do that hacky stuff.
Such a useful skill. I have not mastered it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
all we need to do is we need to get in, maintain cover for him, maybe shine some green lights on his face while he does his thing, and voila. Simple. Easy.
And how heavily protected is this building that we're talking about?
Well, that's why we need to case it out, Oscar Kane. You are an absolute natural at this. I'm already glad that you're coming along with us.
Right.
In fact, you can take point. I'd be proud to have you in front of me.
Very good.
Have we had anyone investigate the place during the day?
Yeah. Some ghouls have taken a look, but it'd be handy to have some more. Why don't we send your bloke? He's probably got some friends there, right? Oscar Kane, your little brain-broken buddy.
I fear, and this is strictly between us, of course, but I fear his brain may be a little soft. He is not as enlightened as the three of us.
No, Alex, he can do it. He's all there. It's all right. Arshad's he'll be able to handle this, I'm sure.
Of course he can. And it's not a problem if he can't. You know, if he gets captured or if he compromises us. We're already prepared to do those things to Rose. What's one more?
That's where you've lost me.
Oh, I mean, we'll kill him.
Yeah.
If he compromises us, we'll kill him. But it's a good idea. We should send him.
If your ghouls have already scouted it, I fear that Arshad may be tempting fate. They may know that he is no longer to be trusted.
Look, it's up to you what you do with your ghouls. But yes, it needs scouting out again during the daytime by someone we can trust.
And
because
during the night?
Oh, we're taking care of that.
That is delightful. Tonight?
Yep. That's why I'm here.
Well, we were just discussing that we had no other plans this evening, weren't we, Oscar?
Yeah. Sure.
Good.
I will stand up. After you.
Well, let's get the rest of our coterie, right?
No time like the present. He stands up. We don't want everyone tromping in there in a big little group, do we?
Okay.
Oh, this'll cheer you up. Sarah's in my coterie. You can have a word with her when we're on the mission. That'll be fun. She hasn't spoken to you again yet, has she?
No, she hasn't.
No. It's very sad. He's got a big grin on his face.
Well, would you like to lead on?
I'd love that, Alex Taylor Brown. He walks past, and the three of you leave Down Street off on your mission. And we're a little bit early, but that seems like a nice place to leave it. Bit of a cliffhanger for both groups. I think that's good. That's good. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please throw them into the chat and Steve will pop them up here for us to discuss for you. In the meantime, a little bit of promo. We have a bunch of links down below. We've got links to our Twitch and our YouTube. You're watching this on one of them. Check out the other. Please give us a follow and a subscribe and all those wonderful things. We've got links to our social media, to our Discord, which is open for you to join and come talk to us about all things telling tales, all things role-playing. Very, very friendly and welcoming it is. We've got a link to our Patreon if you feel like supporting us, if you love what we do and want to help us along with it. Please go there. There's some lovely things on offer. Character creation videos, behind-the-scenes stuff, even an opportunity if you're a big spender for me to run a game for you myself. What an offer. No one on earth has ever had such luxury, except these people here. We run 3 weekly series from Monday through to Wednesday at 8 o'clock BST. Mondays is Call of Cthulhu, which Johnny runs. And Tuesdays and Wednesdays I run. Vampire on Tuesday, obviously, and Simbroom on Wednesday. We run monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. There's a bunch of VODs of those already over on our YouTube. We've got Troika, we've got Alien, we've got Merc Borg. And the next one will be Fiasco, which is happening on Saturday, May the 1st. It's a lot of fun. GM-less caper. It's a Coen Brothers generator of an RPG, and it's wonderful, and I love it. Yeah. Have we got any questions or comments? Oh, yeah, I saw this earlier. Lotus RJ. Hello, guys. I'm an English learner and I love RPG. I'm going to try to improve my listening with your table. Well, I hope we perform some function for that, Lotus. Our English is middling to good, as I would say of most people speak speakers of English in the UK. We certainly don't speak English as good as, for example, the Dutch or possibly Scandinavian people and Germans. But we hope we did help. We hope we did help. Anything else there? Anything else? Gary's quarterly review is in trouble. Hey, sometimes you're such a nervous ghoul, you just got to shoot at a cat.
The way with the actual efficacy of them, it's probably. I think we can do without the ghouls. They've never ever They've never stopped any incursion into the Haven.
Well, we don't know that because they don't report failed incursions. Well,
yeah,
sure.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the session there is a horrible incursion to Down Street. You would rue the day you decided to send 10 assault rifle wielding ghouls away. But that's just me.
I mean, this session,
I'm agreeing with you. Definitely do it. Definitely do it.
You know, imagine how this would have gone differently if they'd have killed Marley's cat. You know.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Cat be killed by mere bullets.
9 lives, mate. 9 lives.
It's been around a while. Surely it's got through a few of them by now.
9 unlives.
So
they replenish.
There are no more comments, but we have 2 new followers tonight. We have Lotus RJ, thank you, and I have no idea how I'm going to pronounce this. It'll be fun. Kibaba03. That's going to be my attempt at that. Do you know what that means? Those 2 new followers. That means, folks, that we are at 200 followers on Twitch. Thank you so much. Right. I know. It's like some kind of horrific forbidden number that is only whispered about in mathematologist streams. But 200 followers. Thank you so much. We feel like we've come a long way since we started in September. Was it September? I think it was September.
Yeah.
Potentially September, something like that. Thanks so much. We really, really appreciate it. We love you all. And we also hit, weirdly, 200 subscribers on YouTube tonight as well. It's a double 200er, folks.
That
kind of thing is only spoken about in legend.
So if you're on one of those platforms and you haven't subscribed or followed on the other,
do the work. Do the work, assholes.
Needlessly aggressive.
Yeah, but thank you. Obviously, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who has followed so far and supported us in any way. Thanks to everyone, as usual, who played in the game, the wonderful players around me. Thank you to Steve so much for doing an excellent job stream managing. We'll see you next week for more Vampire, and maybe tomorrow night for some Simbroom as well.
Ooh.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.